Hello everybody, welcome back to From Rhythm to Algorithm. We continue on with our derivation. What does sensorality stabilize? So we've derived the alphabet as much as possible, the geometric relationships that are presented by letters. Letters are shapes very clearly, just trying to get our conceptualization in the right place, developing our linguistics to show the completion of sensorality, the spelling with the C, that will stabilize our definition for sensorality with an S. What is sensation? What are senses? What is sexuality? What is consensuality? So on and so forth. Sensation is essential. Sincerity is the theme of sensorality. So we derived that last time. I re-derived it again. If I write it down, I say it again because it's not a unique step. Literally, the words are the exact same, but it comes back up in my head. So I put it on the paper and tell it to you. Sincerity, sorcery. Orality is a fraction of sensorality. Again, a very literal theorem. Again, this irreducibility, how does it manifest for syllables and how does it manifest for words? Orality is sensory, right? You're using your sense of hearing to understand me, correct? A fraction is not a whole. A whole is a fraction. The two different spellings will be on your screen. The first one, a fraction is not a whole, W-H-O-L-E, and then a whole, A-H-O-L-E, is a fraction. Right? What gets bigger the more you take out of it? A whole. Sensorality snores. Sensorality is snorality. Snore, ignore. Sensorality ignores snoring. Last time we kind of freestyle derived. Again, most of my derivation is a freestyle deriving, meaning I have theorems written on the paper for the overall chronology, but there's just so many steps that I'm deriving all of the time. And so anything that comes to mind in real time, I also say. So we talked about asymptotes again. Asymptotes kind of present because of discreteness. Things are actually not able to touch because of the electric charge. That is why the Sistine Chapel has David or whoever, with the finger to God, like, oh, I'm not touching you. That's why when you're a little kid, you play with your siblings, oh, I'm not touching you. And then physically, that reality of the inability to actually physically touch produces asymptotes, these graphs that get really, really closer, and then they can't actually reach a certain value. Linguistically, the structure of the language, asymptoticality, asymptomaticality. Sensorality is asymptomatic. Are asymptotes rhythmic? Are symptoms rhythmic? Right, your body has a natural rhythm. Dis-ease, general dysfunction, arrhythmia is a symptom. Again, just progressing our linguistics to have this self-generated question where the answer is sensorality. Language is literal. So we talked about this geometric motivation coming from A is the first letter. The inverse geometrically is E. It's the fundamental differentiation, the most comprehensive thing you can say of all language, the fundamental theorem of linguistics. But now again, we have this logical framework to ask, the E first or the A first. Are we expanding or are we contracting? Are we rooting something, a function? Are we, again, how does chronology play out in linguistics? And so we will see this resolution with our iteration with the stabilization of sensorality. Sensorality is sonality, just mixing up or changing the order of the A and the E. Obscenity is seen. Obscene, seen. Natural definition. Sensorality is a sense of seen. Scenes are sensory. Sensoriality is sensorality, and that is a natural definition, and that's again with this I don't know what else to say it. We cross it a bunch, but the I just goes in and out of the word. What is sounding to spelling? Hey, little Johnny, you're learning to spell a word. Sound it out. What is sounding to spelling? What is irreducibility to inevitability? Right? All scientific truth is inevitable. Right? It might take 1 second, it might take 100 years, but the world is not complicated. We refine our models, our understandings, our interpretations. what everyone currently calls theories are just explanations. Again, when you go watch a math derivation or a math proof that literally isn't this one, people will say stuff like, assume this, start with that. No, it is what it is. You were born into a world with language. You have to describe the structure of that language to quote unquote rightfully use the letters. If you haven't, then you have to cite your sources. But the amount of academic fraud that has proliferated throughout this society is the most prolific fraud in history, and it has caused the most death and destruction that has ever occurred. But if you go look at your average scientist, just a little cutesy person that's at university and they're just trying to work hard and they're leaving little nerd emojis on PhD thread on Reddit, and they're just, hardworking. They're the most pathetic people in the world. And science is not an arena where we have any room for patheticness, learned helplessness. And so nothing is a game. Life is not a game, but you deny fundamental scientific progression, you cause death and destruction. That is the only outcome. And so all scientific truth is inevitable, right? No matter how much they tried in I think it was Kepler, but trying to get those orbital motions of the planets to be perfect circles with, I think it was heliocentric, with the Earth as the center of the solar system. No matter how hard you try to prove that or force a model to fit that, it isn't, right? It is what it is. You have to have your model match your reality, right? You have to have your linguistics match your physics, and both linguistics and physics are direct iterations of it is what it is. Our irreducible form of language is it is what it is. And now we're showing logically through a specific solution, sensorality, that reduction to the identity matrix, but the identity sentence, I guess, would be just the analog. You get what I'm saying. Rescinding revokes. Censorship is revocation. Sensorality is vocation. Sensorality is vocality. That is a natural definition, right? You can kind of jump ahead, but again, we've talked about the handwriting specifically, but the shape of the R and the V. And so vocality and sorality, the C and the S, right? That's what we're showing iterating. Sensorality with our two different spellings. But then orality is vocality, right? It's directly, literally true. And so orality is vocality, coming from the natural definition. Sensorality is vocality. Vocality is sensational. Vocationality is sensationality. So now again, emphasizing the positioning of the C in vocation and the second S in sensation, right? Those we're seeing, again, everything else is geometrically the same. The ationality on sensationality and vocationality. We're showing this complete iteration of a word family, sensorality. Sincerity is genuine. Sensorality is genuine. Sensorality is genuity. Sensorality is ingenuity. Sensorality is ingenious. Inevitability is irresistible, right? No matter how much you resist something, it's inevitable. Just let it happen. Here's all of science. Here's Article 1, Section 8, Clause 8 of the United States Constitution. Here is the Fifth Amendment, which I keep putting on the screen. But it is as real as Santa Claus. Again, just to give another shout out to David Paletta, each day that he is employed at Arizona State University. Of all of the universities out there in this world, if you employ somebody that was personally involved in slandering my name, defaming my character, and in David Paletta's case, stealing my research, you don't get to interact with me and not learn from me. And if you do not cite your sources, it is fraud. And that fraud has caused me such profound personal detriment, my life, property, and health absolutely destroyed. So if you employ anybody that has stolen from me or are part of this racket to suppress science, your school is going to go defunct. That is a guarantee. People have not seen the world change. The world hasn't changed, and I don't expect it to change in my lifetime. There is the full derivation and demonstration of analysis sitting on the internet. And there's just tens of thousands of people that are so profoundly immoral that they can't do the right thing. And I'm going to continue to hammer that home because I want, for the duration of all history, for anybody that learns to me to know that the people alive today are fucking pathetic to a level that is directly criminal and that nobody cares. I'm in a jurisdiction currently run by Andrew Ginther, Michael DeWine, and Donald Trump, and nobody can accept me, nobody can love me, nobody can do what is legally obligated, nobody can do what is moral, nobody has any integrity, nobody has any character, nobody has any discipline. It is just a total free-for-all of pathetic people. Right now, all of our great academic institutions, they're engaging in the NCAA tournament for basketball. When does one of those schools stand up for scientific progress? Well, again, all of them have no problem taking tuition. Not a single one of them has a problem raising their family on fraudulent funds. And they truly don't even feel like they're doing something wrong. I have been brutalized and tortured my entire life by legitimately 100% of every group of people I have ever been exposed to. There's no end in sight. It's not going to end. I have no expectation my life will ever change. So I continue to document. I continue to work as prolifically as possible. And I just want the people in the future to know that no matter how much work I've put out, it's 10-to-1 restricted to what I could do versus what I have done. You're just surrounded by a bunch of people that says, oh, Brad has done enough. Again, demonstrably. I can show you Eric Weinstein saying, dude, give yourself a break. I can't, give yourself a break from breathing, Eric. And again, that's not a threat. That's an elicitation of how insane of a stupid statement that is. I can't turn off breathing. I can't turn off synesthesia. It doesn't stop. There's no end. It is such a neutral capacity. And restricting me of my rights has just caused me a headspace of profound torture that's unresolvable. I mean, it is never going to stop. To feel safe, I need to have constitutional rights, or to have financial stability in a way where I can eat properly, sleep properly, and work. And that's all I've ever asked for. That's what I'm begging for. And again, and then I get online and see Eric Weinstein talking about wanting second homes and vacation homes, as if fundamental physics isn't completely solved and hasn't been completely solved for a decade. It has. There is nothing to do in fundamental physics. What I'm doing is the highest level of mathematical proofing. It is what it is, meaning the actual fundamental reality. You don't need the right words. Right? The engineering applications have been known and classified for decades, and the entirety of fundamental physics has been resolved with the derivation of speciality going on the better part of 7 to 10 years ago. I mean, that kind of the process. But like I said, the actual analysis isn't difficult. It is profoundly trivial. The information just doesn't exist yet. As soon as the information exists, I interact with the world, I reduce all of the logic present in any language. And then once you exhaust the form of the language, there's nothing else to say. There's literally no form or structure left. But again, that's been done for over 7 years. I am never going to live a day of my life because of the sick, disgusting, depraved behavior and immoral character of our law enforcement. And so, again, I wish I could speak as a man to Michael DeWine. I wish I could speak as a man to Donald Trump. I wish I could speak as a man to Tim Doon. I wish I could speak as a man to Chris Couric or to any of these people throughout my life who have fucking destroyed my reputation. But people hide behind screens. I mean, I literally cannot report crime. I literally cannot file lawsuits. I literally cannot go to school. I literally cannot have health care. That is not a joke or an exaggeration. People just are so privileged behind private doors and they just say, oh, I have never lived a day of my life, and I cannot speak freely on camera. All of those bitch fucking losers. At any point in time, you want to be an adult and take responsibility for your actions. $600,000 of cash, notarized funds right now today. And like I said, my entire estate up past, a comfortable, livable situation for myself, because I want to stop getting abused. And it's very clear that nobody gives a flying fuck about me, man. I'm going to be tortured until I'm dead. So I continue to document that as much as possible. I do not want my research to benefit anybody. That is clearly impossible. But I want the historical record to know that's not some sort of juvenile emotional statement. The world is so depraved and sick that I don't want to wipe people's asses. And I really don't want to wipe people's asses who tortured me. Specifically, personally, me. But there is just no responsibility in our society. And so if I could genuinely never have been born, I absolutely would not have contributed to this world in any way, shape, or form. It is so fucking depraved and disgusting. So enjoy your Lent, enjoy your Hanukkah, enjoy your Passover, your Ramadan, your Kwanzaa, whatever tradition you come from, you are a fucking joke. Thank you for watching. See you on the next one.